This podcast was brought to you by Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free. They have tools that allow you to record and edit right from your phone or computer. It allows you to distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And you can even make money without having a minimal listenership. It's basically everything you need and all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Awkward Black Nerd Podcast. This is your host, Daisy Kane. Sorry to the handful of people that actually listen to this. I know I've been MIA for a couple of weeks, but I don't know if this year's just taking its toll on me, but physically and mentally I was not feeling myself, so I wasn't feeling good, so I wasn't able to record an episode like I wanted to. I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm still not 100%. I actually have a doctor's appointment next week, just to try to figure out what's going on with me. But don't fret. I'm here to give you guys another episode. And I'm kind of going to go off the cuff here. I had something planned that I was going to talk about. And I actually had an outline for it and stuff. And then I decided to chuck that and maybe save it for sometime down the road. And I decided to talk about something that has been really heavy on my brain, especially the past week or so. I guess because with we're in the last month of the year, and this year of course has not been that great. So I decided to talk about maybe finding a silver lining to this dumpster fire that is 2020. And even though I know we all came into this year with high hopes, it's 2020, when we all come into a new year, we all have these optimistic feelings, and of course that quickly went downhill, especially during the springtime when we started learning about the pandemic and how it kind of just turned everybody's lives upside down. And some people have been more affected than others, but I mean, the whole pandemic thing has affected somebody in some way. Some people have lost lives. Some people have gotten sick. Some people have lost their jobs, me included. And it's just I know 2020 is taking a toll on almost everybody, but I've been trying to find a silver lining to everything. I guess it all started especially with me going through this weird transitional period. I guess I need to backtrack and start from the beginning. So anybody that knows me, I from Virginia originally. Me and my husband, we moved up to upstate New York because he got a job up here, and I was working maybe for the first year or two when we were up here, and then we decided to start a family, and then from there I became a stay-at-home mom for 4 years. And then when my kid was able to go to preschool or daycare, I decided to, I needed to dust myself off and just go back into working, because I've always been that kind of person that been working. I wasn't used to being at home. And I talked about it a couple of episodes back about when I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, how it was a really, really, really rough transition for me, postpartum depression and stuff. But I said the silver lining to that was it helped me reconnect with something that I'm very passionate about, which was writing. And anybody who's listening to this now, you should take the time to listen to that episode, because it's kind of connected to this episode. So anyways, when I decided to go back to work, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to get into, and then I decided to go back to school, and I got certified as a dental assistant. And I don't know, it's a part of me, I really tried, but I don't know, it's I felt maybe it wasn't meant to be, because especially in the beginning when I signed up for school, I kind of was doing it on a whim, saying, this is a career, I haven't done this before, it's an accelerated course, and then I went into the course with an open mind, and I got it was actually an amazing program. Shout out to the Adirondack Dental Assisting School in Boston Spa. The instructors there are amazing. And the whole, I think it was me and like 13 other girls, and like everyone in my class, like we got along, and we were all like, they're all like sweet girls and stuff. I'm actually friends with a couple of them on Facebook, and I actually keep in touch with like one or two like on the phone. And like, you know, but somehow like when I was taking quizzes and stuff, even though I passed, like I had a really good grade. It's just like, you know how like you get into something and you just feel like, I don't know if I didn't feel fully connected, or maybe I was thinking, well, maybe I'll get more passionate about it once I graduate. Because it was more nerve-wracking, like, all right, I gotta retain all this information, pass a quiz and stuff. So I thought, like, I brushed it off as, well, maybe once I get past the stress part of like passing the course and actually get hands-on with everything, I'll start to feel like fully connected to it, if that makes sense. Hopefully it's making sense how I say it. I'm probably being pretty vague. Anyways, so, you know, I graduate, and then within 2 weeks, I get my first job. And I kind of discussed that like in the first episode about that whole journey. And even when I got the first job, like I thought, again, I didn't feel like fully connected to it because it was in orthodontics as opposed to like regular dentistry, because unfortunately the school I went to only teaches you about orthodontics, like a small section of it. So I thought, well, maybe, you know, I don't know so much about it, so maybe that's why I'm not fully connected. But luckily, like, you know, the doctor I was working with was amazing. Like the staff was all right. It's just I felt like we couldn't really click because they were all like a unit, and I always kind of felt like an outsider. And I know they meant well. It's just their form of training, I don't think I was like fully ready for. Plus the person they kind of like left me with to train me, no offense, is like, she didn't have a good reputation, and allegedly she was supposed to be leaving. So her brain was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But I think I'm not saying she set me up to fail, but even like the other people I worked with, like kind of pointed out like, wow, she's not training you for, you know, shit. So I felt like maybe if I was with somebody else, or maybe if we all like sat down and communicated better instead of me like just up and quitting, maybe I'd still be there today. Although I don't think I would, because especially with the pandemic and stuff, like, and like my kid going back to school, like the schedule, I feel like it wasn't meant to be. And that's kind of another reason why, like, I'm kind of glad the whole dentistry thing didn't work out, but I'll get back to that in a second. So I leave the orthodontic place, like after giving it like the good old college try. I left the doctor on good terms. I'm actually still like friends with like a couple of the people that work there. And then I actually went back to general dentistry, and coincidentally enough, I started working for the company that I actually like go to for my dental work. And it kind of bit me in the ass a little bit because, long story short, like I go into it like, again, in an earlier episode where I felt like I was kind of set up to fail. Like I was working with the doctor that has a reputation for being borderline abusive. Like, you mention his name to anybody in the company, or even outside of the company, like to other people in the industry in the area, you can mention this guy's name and they all have the same consensus. This guy has, like, he's amazing at his job, but he's not great with people. And I felt like the company that I worked with, kind of like, their first mistake was, why make me work with somebody who has a horrible reputation? Like, sure, it could be a learning experience, but I don't know. Overall, it was a horrible experience. And like, I felt like my spirit was starting to get like battered a little bit. And then in the end of the whole thing, like, especially like right when the pandemic started, I was actually relieved that I didn't have to work for that company, because like right before like the whole whispers about COVID started, I was actually thinking about quitting, which was really sad because like I just graduated that past November, and it was now like end of March, and I was like already done. Which was like, I don't know if it's like telling or whatever. Like, I don't know if it's because I didn't feel connected, or if it was because of the people I were working with. Because, no offense, like, the office I was working at too, like, I'm not trying to like shit talk or anything, but it's just like, there wasn't a great rapport between like me and the other assistants. Like, the assistant that was training me was amazing, but when she wasn't there and I was stuck with another assistant, she kind of was just like, well, figure it out. Or she would be like doing things that you're not supposed to do, and then not be accountable for her actions. So But I think they kind of brushed it off because she's technically filling in as an assistant because technically she worked the front. But I don't know. It's just, she would get a pass for doing certain things. But if I make the same mistake, like if I do the same thing, but it's a mistake, I get reprimanded, like, you know, I get like, you know, told off for it, or, you know, I get pointed out that, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, well, she's doing, and I wouldn't point out saying, hey, she's doing it, but it was just like, you know, I kind of just, you know, kept my head low. And like when the pandemic started, I was actually relieved because my spirit was battered. But then like during the pandemic, when I was off for like, I think I was off from like the end of March to like the beginning of May. And like the whole time period, like I like took it as me trying to get my head straight. But then I kind of reveled a little too much in like self-loathing to the point where like there were days where, you know, everybody probably, you know, first enjoyed it where they were like, oh, cool, I get to sleep in, I get to eat, you know, whatever I want and all this stuff. But I kind of took it too seriously, took it too hard to the point where I gained a ton of weight. And I started noticing like my sleep pattern was getting screwed up. My anxiety and my like depression was like all over the place again. And I was in a bad place. So like right before I got called back into work, I kind of took a step back and like said, and I asked myself, what the F am I doing? And like I actually talked to like my primary care doctor, and like she kind of helped me like with certain things like my anxiety medication. And I just talked to her about things, and just to hear her talk and like just to talk to her and get certain things off my chest, she kind of put me in a place where I was able to take a step back and reevaluate some things. So then once I returned back to work, I kind of had the attitude where I was like, okay, pandemic like gave me a chance to like take a step back, reevaluate some things, and you know, this will be a fresh start. At least that's what I thought. And when I returned back to work, like I worked at a different office, and I loved working there, but I don't know why I got switched to a different office. But it's like, I know why, because I was hired as a float, but the office that I was working at when I returned to the pandemic really needed staff, and it kind of like put them at a loss because they got rid of me. And I think the reason why they couldn't keep me is because they kept one other girl too who technically wasn't supposed to be there. And I think they were like, look, we gave you one pass, we're not gonna give you two. So they moved me over to a different office, and I thought it was gonna be great, you know, especially since it was closer to the house and all this stuff. But long story short, I feel like in the end, I feel like the people I were working for kept having the impression of me that like, I don't know. It's just, in the end, it just didn't work out. And like, I kept getting like these critiques that I wasn't getting better, and I was really trying, but it got to the point where I kept getting critiques that I wasn't getting any better. And if I'm getting critiqued that I'm not getting any better, and it's like, I feel like nothing I do is good enough. I got to the point where I was just like, you know what, I'm done. So by like July, like I had an attitude where I still went to work and I still did my job and I still did the best that I could do. But it was at the point where like I knew like eventually I was going to get let go, because apparently like they weren't trying to keep me. They weren't trying to help me get better. They were just like trying to be overcritical and stuff. And I know this probably sounds like I'm whining and I'm not trying to be accountable. And it's like, I know like, you know, I was still fresh and green and stuff, but you got to think in the light of things, I didn't have like a lot of time to like really start to like, you know, get my stride. You got to think, graduated in November, you know, worked one job, got to this company, you know, in February, worked barely a month, and then was off for like a couple more months. And then like they expect me to like, you know, just jump back in. And I'm like, well, dude, technically I've only been working here like a month. So I just graduated not that long ago. So how am I supposed to like learn if you guys won't give me a chance? So in the end, like they let me go, and like I thought I would be depressed about it, but in hindsight, I was actually like relieved. Like I was sad because like I've never been like, I guess, quote unquote, fired from a job, but I was like, there was no hard feelings. They were just like, maybe you need to go back to school and stuff. They were kind of condescending about how they did it. And I was just like, you know what? This wasn't a good fit anyway. And like, And when I explained like the whole situation to like other people, they kind of said maybe they were just setting you up to fail. So I feel like it wasn't just me thinking that. So like in the end, like I said, it kind of worked out for itself. Like I didn't feel bad about it. Like I was a little sad because I was trying to think, crap, what am I going to do now? But then it kind of worked out in the end because one, my daughter was going back to school like in September, and me and my husband were stressing out about what are we going to do? Like, cause we still didn't know if they were going to do remote learning or we were going to try to like, or if we wanted her to like actually go to school, because they were like still trying to figure out the protocol about how they're going to keep kids in classrooms and safe and stuff like that. So when we finally made the decision that we're going to actually let her go and let her have like the full experience and like, you know, go from there, it kind of like worked out where I had to stay home anyway because of her schedule. She's like by the time she gets out, I can like, one of us would have to leave work to go get her. So in the end, it kind of worked out that I'm at home now and I'm able to get her and stay with her and stuff until he comes home. And actually it kind of, with me being at home now, I was able to once again reconnect to the one thing that is near and dear to my heart, and that's writing. Like I've talked about it again, I talked about it in a previous episode about how like writing's been a huge passion of mine since I was a kid. And like, you know, I've wrote fan fiction in the past. Don't judge. It's really good though. Like, so, and then I actually published a book, I published it originally like a couple of years ago, and then I just re-released it this past year after getting like a proper editor and getting it straightened out and stuff. So I was able to reconnect with that. And like, even now, like I'm starting to sort things out about, you know, finding my true passion. And if 2020 has taught me anything, is that even though this year has been shitty, I feel like everything that I've gone through has put me on the path that I need to be on now. And for me, that's, you know, fully focusing on the one thing that I really enjoy, which is writing. Like as of right now, like when people say, what do you do for a living? Technically I am a stay-at-home mom, but I still refer to myself as a writer. That's what I am. I am a full-time writer. And that's kind of where I am now. Like, I do have other projects lined up. I actually have a poetry book that I'm going to try to release next month. Like I was going to release it like a couple months ago, but I decided to hold off on it because even though it was finished, I feel like maybe I wanted to add a little bit more. So I'm in the process of, you know, finally getting everything together the way I want it to fully before I release it to the world. So I do have a poetry book in the pipeline. And then also I decided to give freelance writing a try. Actually, I'm in talks with like a company right now. Like I actually have to send them my test article sometime today. So I'm going to be focusing more on freelance writing too. And what I'm trying to say is, I guess the point of this whole rant about me talking about like everything that's happened is, even though like I tried something like that I thought was going to be, you know, a good thing for me, in the end it wasn't a fit. But instead of me crying about it and beating myself up on it, I just took a step back and just realized, hey, it didn't work out. This is why it didn't work out. What do you really want to do? And what I really want to do is be a writer and just create and just do the one thing that I love the most. And I feel like that's, if anything, like if you guys are listening to this and if 2020 has been really rough for you, just look at it this way. It's like, just try to find a silver lining to it. And that's what I've been trying to do. Like a lot of sad things have happened to me this year and like my family and stuff, but I've been trying to find a silver lining to it. I mean, some things you can't, but even like when stupid things or even like trivial things happen, I've been trying to find a silver lining, because I feel like it took me, it's kind of sad that it kind of took me almost 40 years. I'm trying not to say my full age right now, but it took me, or I'll say it like 30 some years, 36. I'm 36. It took like over 30 some years to like, you know, realize that it's a waste of energy harping and beating yourself up and feeling sorry for yourself over a situation that you have no control over. And it's just like, even though something bad's happened, just try to find a silver lining to it and just realize, hey, it could be worse. Or, you know, it's not that bad. So even like, and that's what I've been trying to do now. I've been trying not necessarily be like, naively optimistic, but it's okay to be optimistic. Like, I'm hoping next year will be better. Although, who knows? Because, I've been like, I know we've all been kind of saying that this past year, like, oh, well, things will get better. And then, something else kind of crazy or horrific falls into our laps. So hopefully 2021 isn't that bad. But even if it is, I'm still going to try to find a silver lining to it. I mean, and I've been, so if anybody's listening to this, just try to find a silver lining, even if it's like the smallest thing. Like, for example, like my car kind of like, my poor CRV kind of like died on me like 2 weeks ago or a couple weeks ago. And I could have been upset about it. And, I was kind of like stressed out because, we were down to one car and we were trying to figure things out. But, we kind of just, well, especially me, I just said, I sucked it up and I figured something out. And, even though now I'm stuck with my husband's van and he got a new car, I'm just like, well, cool. At least we finally figured it out. And you know what? Even though I try to actively avoid being in a minivan, trust me, I actively avoided it. It's still a nice car. I mean, it's a 2016. It's nice and clean. Has a DVD player, and didn't have that many miles on it. So, and hell, it's a kind of a step up from my CRV, even though I love that car. So even though I try to actively avoid being in the Odyssey, it's where it is now. And I fully accepted it because I put stickers and shit on the back of it at this point. Even put a Captain America sticker on the driver's side. So I claimed ownership of it. Even gave it a name. The van's now called Brittany Jean. Named after Britney Spears. Don't judge. So like I said, I found a silver lining to it. So hopefully, if to anybody's listening to this episode, if you just get one takeaway, even though 2020 has like been a dumpster fire, just try to find the little things, the little silver lining just to keep going. And I'm going to end this now because I realize I'm kind of rambling, but I am going to try to post one more episode, hopefully next week, but definitely I'm going to try to post one more episode, like, before the holiday season, and that's going to be my season finale. And then I probably won't post until the next year. So to anybody that's listening, hopefully you're doing okay. Make good choices. Be safe. Kindness is gangster. And have a good weekend. Talk to you soon.